They thought it was a piece of old pottery when workers saw it on the floor of their truck, but it turns out to be something with a lot more historic value.
They had picked up a charity donation that turned out to be the tooth of a mastodon, an animal that looked like a hairy elephant and disappeared thousands of years ago.
24-hour News 8's Henry Erb's here tonight with a story of the find and what's happening with that tooth.
My goodness.
Well, people in the image are used to getting old stuff and the stuff that they collect from people. But, of course, nobody was expecting to get something this cool that could be 12,000 years old.
We found it on the floor of the truck after we had unloaded it.
The truck belongs to the Grand Rapids charity in the image, and it had been picking up donations, clothing, furniture, big appliances. And at first, they thought the thing on the floor was a piece of pottery until Timmer picked it up.
I picked it up, and it looked strangely like a giant molar of an animal, and you could see enamel on the so it looked like a tooth to me.
Timmer kept it on a shelf a while, then he called the Grand Rapids Public Museum. They examined it and found out that what someone had donated to in the image was, in fact, part of the tooth of a mastodon and what looks like the tip of a mastodon tusk. The museum thinks someone had used them in a display at one time because they had a coat of lacquer on them.
You can see where the lacquer is coming off here. It looks like it's probably about 10 to 12,000 years old, but we know nothing else about the piece.
It's a mystery who owned the pieces and how they got into a truckload of donations. Timmer at In the Image says the driver made several pickups that day and didn't remember where he got it. In a way, that's a good thing, because it means the museum can use the tooth and tusk in its educational program. If they knew where they'd come from, the items would be more valuable and they'd have to care for them differently. But now they can even let children handle them.
For a child to be able to handle a 10,000-year-old mastodon tooth or tusk is just unbelievable.
The museum actually has 2 mastodons in its collection. The big animals roamed the Great Lakes region more than 10,000 years ago.
My first inclination was just to donate it to the museum because it was a kind of a cool piece of history and kind of a neat artifact.
Timmer says they get a lot of useful donations and occasionally some unusual things. The tooth and tusk, he says, are now at the top of that list.
I would say so. So they get old things, but no one knew it'd be 10,000 years old,
No.
right? Wow.
Do we plan on digging deeper on this one?
We don't know where it came from.
You talked about little kids getting excited about it. I got to touch that tooth and tusk today. I'm still geeked about it. It was so cool.
It is cool. Wow. Henry, thank you.
Very cool.